Ladies and gentlemen, in this RedGamingTech.com video, we're going to be taking a look at the Steam Summer Sales for 2013. It is, of course, July the 13th, and there are pretty good deals available, actually. Top among them, of course, would be Tomb Raider. I've covered that extensively on the channel. It is a pretty cool reimagining of Tomb Raider as a whole, and bears very little resemblance in many ways to the old PlayStation 1 titles. Gone are the days where you had to double tap back to get just the right distance to make certain leaps and jumps, and we have a younger, very rough around the edges Lara Croft. That isn't to say that the game is perfect. It certainly has a few obvious plot holes here and there, and honestly speaking, at occasional times it very much has the Uncharted feel of playing a snuff film, as I mentioned a few times during my Let's Plays and First Impressions review. Nevertheless, it looks absolutely gorgeous on PC, and if you have a good enough rig, especially if you're able to turn on Tress FX, it looks pretty damn amazing. I honestly would recommend this one to fans of the original Tomb Raider or newcomers to the series alike. It is pretty awesome. It's also 75% off, or $7.49, and it is, in my opinion, at least one of the better games on this deal set. Next one, Sniper Elite Nazi Zombie Army. It's one of those really cheesy games that you wouldn't really think works, but does. The basic premise is that back in World War II, Hitler decided to, go the zombie army route, and it kind of works. It has been covered on this channel. It by no means is perfect. It does have a few holes in it, but it is a really cheap game, even at full price, and as is, it's only $3.39 with 66% off. If you're interested in an FPS that doesn't really take itself too seriously, or you're interested in the whole zombies/occult thing, then it could definitely well be worth your time checking it out. Next one, RPG Maker. I can honestly say that I've never used this piece of software. A few people I know have, and they have told me it's really powerful. Whether or not you're going to get any mileage out of this, I suppose, really depends on what your perspective of this type of thing would be. If you're someone who likes the idea of game design, or really likes the idea of messing about with stories and so forth, it could be worth it. It's still pretty expensive. Even at 66% reduction, it's £17, up to you. I personally haven't tried it out, so you may want to check it out on some videos or something. Furthermore, I haven't checked out Star Drive either. This is one of those games that looks pretty cool in it's very early access at the moment, so you're basically going to be playing the game to kind of learn it as you're going along, or shall I say, improve the game as you're going along, so doing bug fixes and so forth. Now, needless to say, it's 66% off, or $8.49. It doesn't look a terrible purchase by any means, but I haven't personally tried it out. Next would be Age of Empires 2 HD. That is 50% off, or $7.49, and honestly speaking, I'm unsure whether you'll probably want to pick this one up. It's not a terrible game, but it's one of those games where right now, honestly speaking, there are so many RTS and city building and these type of games that, honestly speaking, you are basically sport for choice is what it comes down to. So if you're a fan of the original, released way back when, could be worth it. If on the other hand you are someone who really must have the latest and greatest of these type of games, or you haven't played the original, then I'd probably say just leave it alone and let it rest in the laurels of time. My personal opinion, of course, as well as various reviews, which score it in the 3 stars or 5 out of 10 kind of range. Anyway, next one, Borderlands 2. This is actually a really, really good deal. You get 66% off, which makes the game at £6.79, which is actually a really good price. However, the actual benefit and the bonus is that if you've not bought any of the DLC, you can actually get the Season Pass for 66% off as well. That brings it to $6.79. Also, you can also get a 4-pack of this, which is £20.39, or 66% off again. Borderlands 2, have covered it on the channel. I would actually really recommend this game if you're interested in the kind of tomfoolery that it will bring. It has a certain sense of humor that you may or may not enjoy, but the overall gameplay is very solid. It brings numerous RPG features, of course, to the genre, and allows you to level up your characters, pick up different weapons, and so on, and so on, and so on. This is one of those titles that, honestly speaking, you could spend an inordinate amount of time playing. And I would recommend you check out my video. It actually looks really good on PC as well. It is a pretty damn good PC port, and so it gets a seal of approval from me. I don't really know many people who don't like Borderlands, especially considering it's such a good deal in terms of price. Next title, Witcher 2. Now, this is the Enhanced Edition, and it's 75% off for $3.74. The Witcher 2, Assassin of Kings. When it first was released, it actually turns out it was ridiculously hard. I'm talking amazingly hard. To the point where initially, because I'd not actually played The Witcher 1 that much, in fact I barely played it at all, and I played Witcher 2, and I was just like, okay, well, I might as well check it out, right? And I actually died, and I died a lot. I mean, a hell of a lot. And they basically decided to do numerous updates to improve the quality of the game, more to the point, and not only improve the quality, but more to the point, actually make it a smoother experience and a better experience with a decent tutorial. This game is a very brutal RPG affair. It is extremely violent and gory and so forth, and it has definitely got nude scenes and all of the squeamish details, so if you're offended easily, you'll want to give this one a miss. It has a few graphical quirks here and there, and still has a couple of bugs, predominantly on the frame rate issues at times. However, it is very, very, very good in my personal opinion, and is definitely worth picking up. I would recommend it to anyone who is a hardcore RPG fan or Western RPGs. It is a ridiculously lengthy game as well, so you'll definitely be spending a long time on this. You can also pick up the original Witcher, which is an enhanced edition for 75% off as well. That will bring it to $174. I have covered these on the channel, so if you're curious, go ahead and check them out. Next one, Mars Wars Logs. This game has numerous issues, and storyline and acting wise, it could be stronger. Graphical quality, it's okay. I remember there being some somewhat dicey animations on this. It isn't bad. It is not awful. But I have a feeling that for many people, the price is still going to be somewhat off-putting. It's 50% off, or $7.49. It is not an abysmal game. I have covered it on RGT, but similarly speaking, it is not one of the strongest either. I'll leave you for this one. I'll let you make your own decision. Personally, I'd say that unless you're a massive fan of the genre or sci-fi, I'd probably say give it a miss. On the other hand, if you're interested on those type of games, check out the video review and see what you think on this channel. Next game, Resident Evil 6. I will be completely and utterly honest. RGT jumped on the RE6 bandwagon when it was first being rumoured and then subsequently announced. Were my desires, were my hopes and dreams for the game diminished or dashed against the rocks? Somewhat. The game is a watered-down Resident Evil experience. I think the game suffers numerous reasons, one being the Wesker, one of my favourite Resident Evil characters, is no longer there. And I do like the way that all the plots tie together. However, some of the gameplay mechanics are somewhat frustrating. The PC port also could be a little bit better looking, particularly on cutscenes. However, it does play fairly well. Mouse and keyboard controls are all over the shop, so you may be slightly better off playing with pad on this one. Interestingly enough, however, you do aim a hell of a lot better with mouse, so it's kind of a toss-up. It does, however, support local co-op, which is definitely a plus and a positive. I only wish more PC games do. I would say that this game is somewhat worth purchasing. For the price, 50% off or $9.99, you could definitely spend and buy worse things in the sale. It's not the strongest Resident Evil ever. In my personal opinion, the earlier Resident Evils are definitely better But nevertheless, you can actually pick up Operation Raccoon City, by the way, in this very same deal for $5.74, or Resident Evil 5 for $3.49. In my personal opinion, Resident Evil 5 is a fantastic title, and I would recommend checking that one out. I actually think it's better than Resident Evil 6. If you've not really played Resident Evil before, you may want to check out 5. Operation Raccoon City is kind of a what-if title. In other words, what happens if the storyline had been different, so it's not really canon. I have checked it out on a RGT video. Now, bear in mind, when I played it, the AI was shocking. I'm talking shocking for Operation Raccoon City, and I subsequently gunned the game simply because of that. However, recently, or shall I say later on, there were numerous updates which have drastically improved the quality of the AI, so I'm told. I haven't actually checked it out since because I was so off-put initially. I would say that it's not a terrible showing. By the way, for Resident Evil 6, they've also got various DLC that's going cheap as well. You could check it out. I personally say to go ahead and buy Resident Evil 6 if you're a fan of the game or you're curious. It is not a bad action kind of game either. It is just not what I would consider survival horror anymore. And indeed, I would say that, Resident Evil Revelations is definitely a stronger title. And fortunately, as far as I'm aware, and indeed checking upon it, the game is not on sale right now, so you'll have to just wait on Resident Evil Revelations. Hopefully they do have a sale. There is a demo of it, and it's a really good game. Unfortunately, it's still the $29.99 or whatever full price it is in your respective country. Finally, there is Might and Magic Heroes. I can honestly say that I have no interest in this title whatsoever, and therefore I do not know that much about it. I would recommend you do your Googling on it, although it's probably going to be one of those games you either love it or hate it. Sorry I can't really be more specific on it, however I only know a few details. It scores what is considered fairly well on a lot of websites. However, as I said, it is not really my thing. I'd recommend checking out some videos or something on this game. Sorry I can't be more helpful, but once again, I cannot play every game out there. It is pretty much impossible. I'm going to talk about a couple of other games as well that have got my attention on the flash sales. There's about 7.5 hours of these are remaining, so I'll just quickly mention them. In my opinion, the best ones. L.A. Noire is a ridiculously good title, and it does have a few faults, predominantly in the way you question people. It can be a bit samey and obvious in some regards, but overall it's very, very, very strong. And honestly speaking, I think this is one of those games that you should check out if you can. It is not like Grand Theft Auto. It is more a reverse Grand Theft Auto since you're playing as a cop, although you do have some freedom. It is a good price, however. It's 75% off or $4.99, so could well be worth checking out. Finally, in the flash deals, I'd like to point out Battlefield Bad Company 2 is available, 70% off $4.49. I have no real issues with this game, and I don't really mean to be cruel to it. The problem is that there are too many other choices right now that are out and available. This was released in 2010, so that's 3 years ago. So, to be honest, anyone who's still playing a game is going to be really, really good online. I don't really think you're going to want to play this single player. I mean, maybe you would for $4.49, I don't know. But for multiplayer purposes, you're better off just waiting for Battlefield 3 or just picking up Call of Duty or something, in my personal opinion. I think it's a bit late. I haven't tried out either Kinetic Void or Blood Bowl either. I have tried out Blood Bowl very briefly, and I just really didn't get on with it that well, but maybe you'll have better luck. Finally, Hitman is available. It's actually £5. That is an incredibly good deal. Hitman Absolution is definitely worth picking up. I have covered it on the channel. It's also a really good PC port as well. It can have a few issues regarding the fact that you can't really play the game 100% how you would expect or want to, so you can't go in all guns blazing without being penalised by a score. On the other hand, I suppose it does make sense because you are supposed to be a hitman, you are not supposed to be Rambo. Regardless, that's about all of the games covered in this particular video. It has been a pleasure speaking with you. Hopefully I will see you soon. Take care and bye for now.